Now, okay, well, no problem. Then our teacher and mentor, Professor Salisu Shehu, who is going to present his paper on Islamic psychology in Nigeria, an overview of accomplishments, challenges, and policy. This session is going to be chaired by Professor Suleiman Muhammad Sai, a professor of educational psychology at the Police Academy, Wudil. Sir, you are most welcome. May I also recognize the presence also call on by the power conferred on me by the chairman to join the high table, our father and Baba Addini of the IIIT, Dr. Salahuddin, please. Now, okay. Dr. Jamilu Chedi, please, can you come forward and join our before I hand the microphone to the chair, who will steer the affairs of this session, let me call on Dr. Okay, Professor Yakase, you are welcome, sir. Please join now. Doctor. Okay. We also have Dr. Rabiu from Yusuf Metamasule. Sir, can you please move closer? Okay. Professor Abdurrashid Garba, sir, you are welcome. Please join our Okay. Director of Kano State Polytechnic is also present here. May I also Okay. Professor is asking you to please come a little bit closer to the okay. Now let me hand the microphone to Dr. Abu Bakr Muath to give us an opening recitation. Where is Dr. Abu Bakr? I think I saw him when I came in. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. إنا خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه فجعلناه سميعا بصيرا. إنا هديناه لهديناه السبيل إما شاكرا وإما كفورا إنا أعتدنا للكافرين سلاسل وأغلالا وسعيرا إن الأبرار يشربون من كأس كان مزاجها كافورا عينا يشرب بها عباد الله يفجرونها تفجيرا يوفون بالنذر ويخافون يوما كان شره مستطيرا ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا إنا نخاف من ربنا يوما عبوسا قمطريرا صدق الله العظيم. May Allah grant us the blessing of Quran and make this session to be a blessed one. Now I am handing the microphone to the chairman so that he will to the chairman. I recognize the presence of the chairperson of Carson. Yeah, Haji Abul Kisu. You are welcome to our session.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله على النبي الكريم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Distinguished participants, our guest lecturer, I seize this opportunity to welcome all of you to this very important gathering from which we are going to learn about Islamic psychology, an overview of accomplishment, challenges, and prospects. This aspect of learning, I think, has no other time to be apt than now, because around northern part of Nigeria now, in almost all our universities, except University of Jos, there's no institution that offers BSc psychology, PO psychology, core psychology. All others are offering either guidance and counseling, educational psychology, and so on. It is imperative to have pure psychology in these universities because of the challenges we are having. I'm talking of this because I'm from the Nigeria Police Academy, where we offer BSc psychology, and there is there's a serious need to have pure psychologists to man the lecturership offices. Of recent, we were trying to take our scripts to an external examiner, but we found it difficult because all the universities surrounding Police Academy don't offer pure psychology. And it is a norm by the NUC that we mustn't take scripts more than 300 kilometers from the institution. So the head of the Department of Psychology proposed somebody in Benue State University. The coordinator rejected because it's a bit far, until I had to write and convince him that the surrounding universities, Danfodio, Bayero, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, ABU, don't offer BSc pure psychology. And so there are no professors, so to say, in this field. Then he agreed. We recruited the service of one Professor Zamani. Why I'm saying this is because a very good stakeholders are around here so that they can take up the challenges. You see, when I was a student here, 1983, we used to call people in education and psychology as kafir, Yahudu. And this may be some of the reasons why pure psychology is not instituted in these universities. I can remember during the time of Hast, Professor Hast, Mortimer in social and management sciences, this old campus. People look at psychology as a kafir discipline, as a Yahudu discipline. That's why I'm saying this paper is very apt, so that those of us who are up here will be able to adjust, to adapt that psychology is so Islamic. So, ladies and gentlemen, I step in the shoes of Professor Mewada, who's unavoidably absent on accreditation to chair this paper. I wish to introduce to you a very competent, dedicated, committed Islamic scholar worldwide, Professor Salisu Shehu. Sir, you are most welcome to give us this. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you, sir.
Okay, well, you saw the Zoom. I have to be done. Auzubillahi shaitan rajim. Bismillahir rahim. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyil kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. The chairman of the session, Professor Suleiman Muhammad Sai, who is a professor of educational psychology with the Police Academy Wudil. My head of department and former Deputy Vice Chancellor, Bayero University, Kano, Professor Abdul Rashid Garba, my senior colleague in the department who mentored me in teaching psychology in the university, Professor Muhammad Ibrahim Yakasey, our father in the IIIT, and our leader and model in Islamic activism, the Baba Adini of IIIT, Dr. Salahuddin Yusuf, the rector, Kano State Polytechnic, and my HOD also, Dr. Kabiru Bello Dungurawa, other distinguished colleagues, but I should also mention Professor Aisha Garba Habib, who has been a classmate in the university days, but she is presently the Dean of the Faculty of, is it Arts and Humanities or Humanities? Humanities of Yusuf Metamasile University. and formerly the head of the Department of Islamic Studies, the chairpersons, Nigerian Society of Educational Psychologists, Dr. Abubakar Sadiq Haruna, and Malama Bilkisu Umar Zandam, the chairperson of Counseling Association of Nigeria, both of Kano State chapters, colleagues in the academia, fellow students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity, but I'm particularly happy that Professor Abdul Rashid Garba is here with us, because I'm going to mention something that concerns him directly. I'm really happy that he's around. While I was coming, I have been wondering whether Professor Abdul Rashid Garba will be around. I'm really glad that he is around. Let me also mention that this paper is supposed to be a contribution to a book project that has been, commissioned by the International Association of Muslim Psychologists. And the title of the book project is Islamic Psychology Around the Globe. It is supposed to be a survey of efforts that are being made on Islamic psychology in different countries. And I happen to be one of the persons that were contacted to write on efforts on Islamic psychology here in Nigeria. This, I think, is a very important information. Secondly, I please want to take us, I didn't have time to read the paper before this day, but let me just refer us to page 3, because there is a very important, or there are very important corrections on that page. At least when I was trying to read the paper this morning, I saw those corrections. They are very serious ones. That is at the end of the first paragraph, that very long paragraph. There are references to Quranic verses. The first one is, as you can see, it reads chapter 20, verses 204 to 207. It is certainly not 20, not chapter 20. So chapter 20 is Surah Taha, and the verses of Surah Taha are not up to 200. So it is chapter 2, Surah Al-Baqarah. So please cancel the 0. 2. So the verses are correct. The verse numbers are correct. Then the next one, 16 verse 14, is also wrong. It is supposed to be chapter 96. That is Iqra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq. And the verse number is 6, not 14. Hasbunallah. Then the next one is not chapter 14, verse 34. It is chapter 89. 89, verses 15 and 16. Chapter 89, verses 15 and 16. So let me just make sure that the rest are also correct. The next one is chapter 17, verse 11. Is that what we have? Then the next one is chapter 18, verse 54. The next one is chapter 70, verses 19 to 21. And the next one is chapter 100, verses 6 to 8. And the next one is chapter 11, verses 9 to 11. Okay, these I think are very important corrections that I need to draw our attention to. And I would also want to say that this seminar is a hybrid seminar we're combining this physical presentation with the virtual presentation, that is Zoom. In the same way, the presentation will also be hybrid. Part of it will be PowerPoint, and part of it will refer us to the paper. And I am glad that most of us have the paper with us. Now, the presentation will proceed on the following outline. There is an introduction and background. And then this is immediately followed by a discussion on Islam and psychology, which I call shaping a paradigm, and also shaping or building a conceptual framework. Then the next thing is making sense of the concept of Islamic psychology in the Nigerian context. Making sense of the concept of Islamic psychology in the Nigerian context. Then the next thing is indigenous and foreign inspirations on Islamic psychology in Nigeria. Then the next one is pace setters and trailblazers of Islamic psychology in Nigeria. Pace setters and trailblazers. The next one is overview of efforts and accomplishments on Islamic psychology in Nigeria. And this overview will be presented in three approaches. There is the institutional accomplishments. Then there is a special focus on the role of the IIIT office in Nigeria in promoting Islamic psychology. Then individual research efforts, that is efforts that have been made by individuals. Then the next is challenges of Islamic psychology in Nigeria. And the next one is prospects of Islamic psychology in Nigeria. And the last section of the presentation is the concluding part. So we proceed on the basis of this outline. The first thing in the paper is introduction and background. Like I said before, this paper is a chapter contribution. It's a chapter contribution to a book project on a survey of Islamic psychology around the globe. So I felt it was necessary to give a background to, on Nigeria, because the chapter will be read by people around the world. They need to know something about Nigeria. It may surprise you that when you travel out of your country, you are bound to meet people that are intellectual in their own rights, and they are scholars in all sense of the word. But you will discover that they know next to nothing about your country, because people only care about what concerns them. So unless a person in one way or the other has some reason to search on Nigeria, you will be surprised that people are blank about Nigeria. For the wrong reasons, unfortunately, Boko Haram has projected Nigeria to the fore. So because of that, many people, have taken interest in reading about Nigeria. But particularly, I have made a presentation on Nigeria on the basis of certain unique features of Nigeria and what I call paradoxes. And this is especially relevant because of what I'm going to present later in the paper about some of the challenges that we find in Nigeria. So as part of the unique features of Nigeria, I have stated that it is the biggest country in Africa, population-wise. The projection now is about over 200 million, and the projection is based on the 2006 census, which put the Nigerian population at that time at 160 million. So on the basis of that, projections are being made. And people are now saying, based on that projection, that Nigeria is above 200 million people. That is the safest thing you can say. But any attempt to quote a definite figure will be erroneous because, there is no census here with us to say this. But people say 210 million. Some people even go to say 220 million. Whatever the case may be, I think it is safer to just simply say that the population of Nigeria today is above 200 million. One other unique thing that Nigeria globally is especially unique, but it only compares with Lebanon in that regard, is the fact that this is the only country in the world, except Lebanon, this is the only country in the world where you find that the Nigerian Christian population and the Nigerian Muslim population are at close ranks. All over the world, many countries are either you find that they are Muslim majority country or they are Christian majority country, clear cut. You would say that this is a country where Muslims are in majority. This is a country where Christians are in majority. But Nigeria, is the only country, like I said, except Lebanon. Lebanon has the same kind of feature. The Muslims and Christian population in Lebanon are also, just like Nigeria, almost at close ranks. But one way Nigeria still differs with Lebanon is that Lebanon is not more than a state in Nigeria. Lebanon, in spite of the fact that Nigeria and Lebanon share this feature that Muslim and Christians are living almost at par, but then Nigeria is not comparable to Lebanon in terms of population size. I believe Lebanon may not be bigger than Kano State now. Kano State may be bigger than Lebanon in terms of population. But then there are certain paradoxes about Nigeria. One of these is that, you see, Nigeria, the population of Muslims in Nigeria, the population of Muslims in Nigeria is bigger than the population of the biggest Arab country in the world. Nigerian Muslim population is bigger than the population of the biggest Arab country in the world. Egypt is arguably the biggest Arab country in the world. But the population of Nigerian Muslims is bigger than Egypt, because the population of Egypt is now hovering between 80 to 90 million. But the population of Nigerian Muslims, on the basis of this projection that I have stated, the population of Nigerian Muslims is a little above 100 million. And then another thing, a paradox also, is that the Christian population in Nigeria is bigger than the population of the biggest Christian country in Africa, the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Nigerian Christian population is far bigger, is bigger than the population of the biggest Christian country. Congo is a very big country, also about 80-something million, and it is arguably a Christian country. But the population of Christians in Nigeria is bigger. And that is why, for these paradoxes and features, the Nigerian constitution makers were careful not to clearly state that Nigeria is a secular state. So they safely only said that Nigeria is a multi-religious state. And further about the background is that the intellectual background to Muslim intellectualism and the Muslim intelligentsia in Nigeria find roots very recently only. Of course, there are, further in history, some backgrounds, but the most that have been impactful to Nigerian history, Muslim history, is that the Sokoto Caliphate and the Kanambonu, empire presents a historical background to Muslim intellectual, activities or Muslim intellectual history in Nigeria. So against this background, we can say that the consciousness to present knowledge in Islamic perspective in Nigeria can be said to have begun with the works of the intellectual leaders and scholars of the Sokoto Caliphate and the Kanembolu Empire. Muslims have gotten inspiration from the works of these people as will be illustrated further in the paper. So we can say that the consciousness about the need to present knowledge from Islamic perspective might not have begun in Nigeria with the Mecca conference of 1977 and also the Islamization of knowledge movement. I'm arguing that this consciousness to present knowledge from Islamic perspective might not have begun with the Mecca conference. You know, there was a conference on it was a world conference on Muslim education. It was conducted in 1977 in Makkah al-Mukarramah, where about 313 scholars, Muslim scholars from all over the world, in almost all disciplines, in if you take education, for example, in curriculum, in psychology, in sociology, scholars were invited in political science, economics, history, and also even in the natural sciences were all brought together. These were erudite scholars that were professors in their own fields. They were all assembled, 313. I don't know whether it was intentional that they made it 313. You know, the Muslim companions of the Prophet that fought in the Battle of Badr were 313, isn't it? So 313 were assembled. Each was charged to make a presentation on the Islamic perspective of his own discipline. So one Professor Abdul Hamid was the one that made presentation on psychology. And then there were other presentations in a number of other fields. And the books, the papers that were presented in that particular conference were published, I think, about 7 different series or 7 different volumes based on the sub-themes of the conference. This particular conference could be said to be the most impactful inspiration to what can be called Islamization of knowledge. Because in actual fact, it was after that conference that the Islamization movement began. It was after that conference in Mecca. And for a long time, for a number of years, those books that I was mentioning, the King Abdul Aziz series, because the papers, the proceedings were published by King Abdul Aziz University, Jeddah. So those series, about 7 of them, and one of them, which I can say really greatly influenced me, is the volume that is titled Social and Natural Sciences Islamic Perspective. It was edited, that particular volume was edited by the late Professor Ismail Raji Al-Faruqi. But then there are other volumes that are also very influential, like Crisis in Muslim Education is one of the volumes. And then Curriculum and Teacher Education is another volume. About 7 of them were published. These have had great impact on the issue of Islamization of knowledge all over the world. But I was trying to say that the works of the Sokoto Jihad leaders, which impacted on the Muslim intelligentsia in Nigeria, predated the Makkah World Conference, And this fact was illustrated by Waziri Junaidu the late Waziri Junaidu, the Wazir in Sokoto, way back in 1971, way back. I think the person who is controlling these slides is not moving with me. He's very fast. You may wish to go back, way back, please. Wazir Junaidu made the point, and you can see why I was saying that Muslim intellectuals in this part of the world have had this consciousness about the need to really redefine knowledge, or to really change our approach to knowledge. Because Wazir Junaidu was arguing in this speech, and one of the very poignant points he made was that knowledge can certainly be described to be universal and can be described to be neutral. In other words, 2 plus 2 in Nigeria is 2 plus 2 in China. 4, isn't it? 2 plus 2 in China is the same as in America, and so on and so forth. So knowledge can certainly be universal and can be neutral. But then, as he said, but knowledge has a commitment to a worldview. It has a commitment to a worldview, and it has socio-cultural stamp. That is to say that knowledge has never existed in a vacuum. It always exists within certain socio-historical contexts. And that socio-historical context within which knowledge exists at any point in time must be committed and must be imbued with the worldview and the values of that context. And therefore, Wazir Junaidu was arguing that it may be intellectually wrong, it would be methodologically wrong to think that whatever is given to you as neutral knowledge, you just take it hook, line, and sinker, and critically. You should be critical. You should be critical, especially the social and the social sciences and the humanities. And that is why he says that our universities, as he said, our universities are a cultural transplant whose roots lie in another civilization. That is to say, our universities have been established on the basis of a worldview and of a philosophy of knowledge, which we do not necessarily share. And therefore, we need to remodel our own universities. And I think before him, or around the time, Professor Abdullah Smith, the late Abdullah Smith of University, that, made this argument very forcefully in some of his writings, where he was calling for what he calls Africanization of knowledge and Islamization of knowledge also. Let me not take a long time on this. Having made this background, now we move to the next outline, that is Islam and psychology, shaping a paradigm and conceptual framework. Like I said, this is an overview of efforts on Islamic psychology in Nigeria. But at least we need to have a paradigm. We need to shape up a paradigm upon which, our thinking about Islamic psychology should be based. And hence, at this point, the paper tried to demonstrate the relationship between Islam and psychology. Is there any relationship between Islam and psychology that would even justify the talk about Islamic psychology? Can there be Islamic psychology for that matter? Why? Because Islam is a worldview. It is a worldview that is essentially based on Tawheed. Modern psychology is a product of a worldview that is also essentially and diametrically opposed to the Tawhidi worldview. Because modern psychology is a product of the materialist worldview. That worldview that doesn't recognize the existence of God. And I think we need to make some point very different, very clearly. You see, all modern disciplines as were developed after the Enlightenment project in the West. And that is why they are called modern. All these modern disciplines are godless because they emanated from the Enlightenment project. And the Enlightenment project is essential diversion from God, is a deviation from divinity, is a deviation from, supernatural. And therefore, all the modern disciplines do not recognize God. The intellectuals that promote the disciplines may be Christians that believe in God. They may be Muslims that believe in God. We're all students of psychology. We believe in Allah, isn't it? But our psychology does not recognize Allah. Our sociology doesn't recognize Allah. Modern medicine, isn't it? You have Muslim medical doctors, you have Christian doctors that believe in God. But modern medicine, as far as the paradigm is concerned, as far as the philosophy is concerned, they don't recognize God. So all modern disciplines are purely empirical disciplines. Empirical discipline, empiricism defines knowledge within the purview of the real existential. What is real existential? That is to say, all modern disciplines are based on the belief that knowledge begins and ends with human reasoning and human experience. And when you begin to say that there is a supernatural source of knowledge, for example, revelation, that is unscientific, that is a myth, because you cannot prove it scientifically. So I'm saying modern psychology is a discipline that is a product of this worldview that doesn't recognize God. You may say secularism, but as you know, secularism has different strands.